Blog Talk Radio.
Talk Radio. Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Join me, Naima Latif, every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we bring you stimulating discussions about the issues affecting our lives. If you're listening online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution, press the blue button that says follow and get our daily topics every morning directly to your email and your smartphone. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, Executive Producer of the Female Solution Radio Show. We invite you to call in 515-605-9325 and participate in this daily think tank as we examine the challenges we face and develop solutions that restore peace and harmony. We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network. Call 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money. And Grand Rising. Thank you all for joining us on this Wednesday edition of the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, and we'll be right back with our guest and our co-host, and we want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be back in a moment, so stay with us.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms. And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif. And as always, we appreciate you so very much. Oops. Because one of the reasons why we're here is because we want to hear from you. This is a fantastic time to be alive. And what we're seeking is solutions to the issues of our day. As always, we are concerned about our children. And this is a critical point because everywhere we are in the world, we are seeking to create children who are intelligent, talented, and skilled, and able to create a better world than what we're currently experiencing. And so as we prepare to bring in our co-host and our guests, we want you to take a look at the state of affairs of our children, because we know that they are a reflection of who we are. Now, what would happen if we raised children without fear? What would happen if we raised them and allowed them to express their creativity, exposed them to knowledge, gave them inspiration, and allowed them to learn without fear of reprimand and repression and punishment for just being who they are? Well, we would be allowing them to discover their true genius. And that's what the people at CEO Superheroes does every day. They're empowering children to be the creative geniuses they are. So we're going to take a look at what it really takes to create a kind of learning environment that will empower our children to be the people that they were born to be. And if you are raising children, or if you are teaching children, or if you are planning to be a parent, then you need to think about different ways of raising children than the way we were raised. Because the way we were raised was incorrect in many ways. In many ways, we were, unfortunately, discouraged from being who we are. We were raised in old-time systems that taught us that children are to be seen and not heard, or not seen or heard. And we were made to feel as if we didn't master certain bits of useless information, we were going to be shunned and rejected by society.
Learning was not made fun, it was made scary because every day you went to school and you stood in fear of being publicly humiliated if you didn't give the correct answers to questions. Well, what if we had a learning environment where the teachers actually enjoyed hearing your opinion and you were never wrong because your creativity was something unique to you and you were allowed to express it and feel good about it? What if you had a learning environment that allowed you to be yourself and gave you opportunities to explore new things and allowed you to laugh and have fun? Well, CEO Superheroes provides just that kind of environment. And our guest today, Dionne Victoria of the Healing Academy, Art, Science, and Entrepreneurship Strategies, joins us today as part of the CEO Superheroes, which stands for Cousins Empowered Optimists, CEO. Superheroes Collaborative, that is empowering and implementing strategies to empower our youth and families. Education is not just a child-centered effort, but it also includes our families. Our parents are definitely impacted by what happens to our children at school. So, what do we do when our children are having a difficult time at school? Well, it's not always easy because children can only respond to what they're exposed to. And what happens when we expose them to something that opens their minds, as opposed to exposing them to an ongoing fear of failure? Well, we're excited because we get an opportunity to introduce you to an organization that you're going to be hearing more about as they continue to provide creative avenues for our children who need alternatives to the public school system that we already know is woefully inadequate when it comes to inspiring our children. We already know this. We already know that our public schools are archaic and designed to shovel our children into a system that no longer exists, the industrial system where everybody's being prepared to go and work in a factory. We already know that if we don't create something else, our children will be forever discouraged and be we will be disappointed because our children are not excited and don't want to go to school and don't want to continue school. And we've been brainwashed to believe that that system is the only way they can survive. Well, let's share with you a few images from the CEO Superheroes, and you can get a chance to see what kind of activities this organization exposes children to that opens their minds and gives them a sense of purpose, which is far beyond the programming to simply get prepared to work in someone's factory or office for the next 40 years of your life. So let's take a look at this promo of CEO Superheroes and think about what you would like your child to experience. All right, we're gonna share this with our viewers and come right back.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Well, we are here to introduce to you and and give you an opportunity to learn about this exciting organization, CEO Superheroes. And we are joined with our co-host, Kareem Hamid. I believe you're, yes.
Number one.
And we're, oops. Uh-oh. And let me take this moment to go to a quick break. We'll be right back, so stay with us.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
Yes, well, we are back. And you're listening to, uh-oh, we got a bit of an echo here. Let me close one mic. Okay, and we're back. And you're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, and our guest today is Dionne Victoria of the Healing. Yes, I am here. So you're able to hear us. All right, wonderful, wonderful.
Inshallah, as time moves forward, we are going to perfect the technical operation.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, well, you know, we're actually on 3 networks on Wednesdays.
Inshallah, we're grateful for this technology that
Yes.
has put us in touch with each other in real time.
Yes.
Praise be to Allah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, it's a wonderful thing. Yes. So can you hear me okay?
So as I was saying, until if there's anyone that would like to make some statements concerning what is happening in Sudan or in the Democratic Republic of Congo or occupied Palestine, I ask you to press 1 on your phone. Okay.
Now, are you able to hear me okay?
699. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Are you able to hear me okay?
My name is Luke. Better known I'm in Detroit right now.
I think we're having a little bit of a technical difficulty here.
St. Louis, Sugar State. And my mother was a pioneer at Matthew 28.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right, having a little bit of a technical difficulty here. So, are you able to hear me now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Are you able to hear me?
Say goodbye on the phone, and I just hung up. You know, technology is so advanced now. Anyway, I got a history with Islam, and like the book said, if I read, and you will know the Bible and the Constitution.
All right. Well, here's what we're gonna do. Yes. Okay, so we are actually connected to several radio networks, and what we will do is make sure that our co-hosts can hear us clearly, because today we want to really take a look at shaping the future. And one of the most important aspects of the future is our children. And our guest today is Dionne Victoria of the Healing Academy, Art, Science, and Entrepreneurship Strategies. And she's part of the uh, Cousins Empowered Optimists, CEO Superheroes collaborative that is implementing strategies to empower youth and families. And the exciting thing about this program is that it gives us a creative way of approaching our children's education, their expansion of their minds, and exposure to things that takes them out of the regular traditional environment so that they can learn and explore. So tell us, Dionne, first give us a little bit of background about yourself as head of the Healing Academy, Art, Science, and Entrepreneurship Strategies. And then we'll talk about your work with the CEO Superheroes.
Absolutely. So let me start by saying I am president of the Healing Academy, and I'm also here representing CEO Superheroes as the director of STEAM. So just to kind of back it up and give y'all a little bit about me as the human Dionne Victoria, I'm an artist, and I've been allowed to be anything I've wanted to be because of the support of my parents. They really showed me throughout my childhood that I can be an artist. I can enjoy science. I can enjoy learning. I can be different. It was okay to be different. And so that was something that stuck with me throughout my adulthood, that I could do anything. Something that you said was empowering our children. We want to empower our children to be superheroes. That's where CEO Superheroes come from, right? We want to show them, teach them that they have superpowers. Each of us have something that we do great. And we do that by creating this learning environment. And that's something that the Healing Academy, we both work together in this way. Something that the Healing Academy offers is these arts programs, these healing arts programs. So I want to get more into it, but I want to talk more specifically about the learning environments that we collaboratively and individually as organizations create. In our courses, our students are shown to be who they are. Our instructors are so different. They are beautiful people. They are actual superheroes. So they have these examples of people of how to be who you are. And then they are placed in a safe learning environment where their families are invited to learn as well. And they are given opportunities to learn entrepreneurship. In CEO Superheroes, we offer golf. And I'll talk more about our programs coming up in that area as well, in both areas. Something else I wanted to mention that you talked about, and this is me, and I think I could speak for both organizations when I say this. Something you talked about was how our system has been designed. It's a very archaic system, the public school system is. And it's archaic, and then you went on to say it's designed. I want to talk about design. As an artist, again, this is one of my pieces in collaboration with my partner here. As an artist, we design our world. And I see Asada on here, her picture flashing here and there. Something that she says is how you can tell the evolution of a culture based on its artists. And then as an artist, I sit back and I look at how our schools are designed, how they've been designed, how they haven't been redesigned. And then I look at the schools that are for children and how they are designed, and the stark difference. I part of why my son is homeschooled is because when I was going to visit the schools, none of them aesthetically pleased me. None of them. None of the public schools. And I was just really flabbergasted by the design that no one over all these years, we're now in 2024, no one over all these years has taken the time to say, wait a minute, we need to redesign these buildings that are babies. We already know what the system is setting up our kids for. And we know what these schools are designed like. So why would we not have changed this by now? I know that's not, important to most people, but it's important to us. CEO Superheroes is working diligently to transform the space at 1403 West 111th. So when our youth gets to experience this, y'all will get to see this transformation, this change, this welcoming of the space where families can gather. Students, the young people gather in one space while their parents gather in another to talk and learn about how they can better themselves. It's multi-generational. And it's like that for both organizations. I love what I do, right? I co-founded the Healing Academy. And when I started working more diligently with CEO Superheroes, it was just so intertwined. It's hard to not talk about both because they're so intertwined.
Yes.
But the strategy with CEO Superheroes is it's not only multi-generational, it's also various angles. Mm-hmm. I could talk about what's next. We have some really exciting things coming up on May 4th.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to talk about May 4th because that is a fantastic launching of something that we're looking forward to being able to continuously promote. And of course, you got an event coming up this Saturday.
That's true. We got a list. I got a list. Yeah. I got a list.
A quick break and come back. And if you're listening online and want to join this conversation, you can give us a call, 515-605-9325 or 515-605-9891 or 727-731-5192 because we want to hear from you. We're talking to a fabulous woman that you need to know, Dionne Victoria of CEO Superheroes and so much more. Because we're transforming the world through our children. So we'll be right back after this quick break. And we want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be right back in just one moment. So stay with us.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif. And if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection. Somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
It's not on the board.
Yes. Yes. You're not able to hear me.
Right.
And so we've called you from the switchboard.
Okay, I've opened up your mic now. I'm seeing the 347-498.
Yes.
Okay, the mic is open.
All right.
I'm going to return back to the studio board. Thank you.
All right. Okay, and we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, and I believe we've got our co-host Kareem Hamid joining us. Are you with us now?
Yes,
Great.
assalamu alaikum, and belated happy birthday to you.
Oh, well, thank you so very much. Thank you. Yes, it's been.
I saw that post you put out with you and Dr. and Minister Floyd Plum.
Yes, yeah, he did such a wonderful birthday celebration and everything, and we enjoyed the day. And I'm so elated to have made another round, another turn around the sun with the earth, and just meeting such fabulous people who are doing wonderful things. And, you know, we always talk about the future on this show because there's some people who got a lot of gloom and doom, oh, there are wars and rumors of wars and poverty. But we know that this is a time of transformation. So I'm excited because today's guest is giving us some real inspiration. And we know that our children are going to create a better world because we're going to put in them the inspiration and the vision and the courage to make things better because they are being raised without fear. So I'm excited, and I want to introduce to our American Muslim 360 family joining us live here. We're talking to Dionne Victoria of the Healing Academy, Art, Science, and Entrepreneurship Strategies. And she's joining us today. She's part of the CEO Superheroes Collaborative that is implementing strategies and empowering young people and their families to create a new world. And we had an opportunity to work with the children that are part of the CEO Superheroes program and creating a podcast that we're going to see this Saturday as they are one of the Soulful Chicago Book Fair sponsors, and we're excited because we want people to see what happens when children are allowed to be the wonderful human beings that they are without being repressed into silence and shushed into silence. And when they're allowed to create and they're allowed to think and they're allowed to explore and they're allowed to learn with encouragement. We want people to see what that looks like. And of course, Betty Shabazz is that kind of environment. We've been doing podcast training there with the students, and they're going to get a chance to interview some of the CEO Superhero students and share the experience of being empowered by people who understand that our children are gifted and have creative genius. And if we, the adults, would just learn how to guide it rather than squash it, then we'll see our world change. So I'm so excited to have our guest today. Yes. And I believe, Kareem, you all were taking a look at some of the things happening in the world. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing different things. And Dionne was just kind of reflecting on the educational system that isn't working and hasn't been working. And we need to stop trusting our children to it. Why are we doing that?
We definitely need to come up with an alternative to the public school system. And one of the questions I want to repose, because you brought this up, was what would happen if we minimize trauma? As the CEO Superhero STEAM director, that is something that comes to mind for me on so many levels, because although, you know, most people are thinking about the STEAM, the science, the technology, the engineering, which is all important, the art, the therapeutic, the social emotional experience that you have when you sit with your art and you make it, you create it, you bring something from inside onto the outside. The experiences we've had with our children on many levels and many different classes include them going from being very quiet or in solitude all the way to being able to talk about things, to speak up for themselves. We have children on many different levels, many different age groups, and we're finding ways to reach them that they reach us back. Because here's something else. We as adults have to learn and figure out how best to guide our children. And we have to learn to take guidance. I know that's like, hot topic, but our children come here with a lot of wisdom. They're closest to source than we are. So why would we be like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about? No, they know. It might not make sense to us, but they know. So allowing children to know and not shut them down. You don't know what you're talking about. Sit down, be quiet. No, that's the exact opposite of what we do at CEO Superheroes and at the Healing Academy. So we are definitely empowering our children to understand their genius, which I mentioned before, is their superpower. All of us have superpowers. All of us. We have something that we're amazing at. It might seem small to somebody else, but we're amazing at it. And that means that we should honor it and love on that thing. So understanding that about ourselves helps us empower our children to understand that about themselves and help them understand they can create whatever they want. Yeah, we've been working within this system for however long, but how long do we have to? You can make anything you want. You can create a new system.
Yes, that's the thing. There's nothing stopping us from creating a new system. And I'm grateful every time I meet somebody that has the courage to create something else. We complain a lot about what we don't have, but there's nothing stopping us from creating what we need. And like you said, children come here with gifts, talents, and skills that they're coming here to share with the earth. We can learn from them, which is a totally different way of thinking. You know, when we were growing up, the idea was you just shut up and let me just tell you what to think. And that's what we were conditioned to do. Just sit down, be quiet, and be talked at for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, and then regurgitate back what we were told. And that's called learning. But now people like yourself understand that learning is when you're able to discover what is within and bring it out. That's what a good teacher does, to discover what's already inside the student and help them to express it. So this is a whole different way of thinking. And I know it's different. It's different for a lot of people in our generation, Brother Kareem. Yes, go right ahead with your thought.
Yes, what it is being expressed is very important. We have to start at an early age. You know, sometimes we say, well, we'll put them in the educational system when they reach the age of 5. Oh, no. God have created the human being with an ingredient called potential.
Yes, potential.
Every human being has potential.
Absolutely.
And potential is derived from the word that they are potent.
I like that.
Come here rich in potency.
Yes.
And, we have to know how to nurture that potency that is within them. How to skillfully guide it without overpowering, overpowering what God have placed within them, that potency to create, to come up with new systems. But we have that requires some excellent teachers, and that is the obligation of parents to tap into the potential that every baby comes here with and nurture it forward in a moral excellence, toward moral excellence, a sense of right and wrong and good behavior, and applaud the gift that they have within them.
Yes.
We don't know. A child can be born right now that may have the potential to cure cancer. But if we stifle that, it won't come into fruition.
Well,
we have to nurture our children. We say we want to raise them. Well, okay, but raise means to children them to skillfully nudge them forward in the right direction and applaud the excellence that's in them. It's already within them. Don't talk down to our children. Talk them up, for they are our future. I'll stop right there.
Absolutely. Well, Dionne mentioned earlier about what would happen if we remove the trauma. And nobody really realizes how deeply traumatizing it is to be publicly humiliated. And this is a large part of how our teachers are taught to manage a classroom. I'm going to put you in fear of being publicly humiliated if you do something out of line. If you don't answer a question properly, I'm going to humiliate you because you didn't study enough or you didn't memorize what I told you. I'm going to publicly humiliate you if you speak out of turn or if I can't get your attention. So all day long, children are subjected to public humiliation as a means of control by teachers who've been taught that this is how you control children, especially if you have multiple children and you have to make them behave. This is how teachers are taught to teach, and this is how parents are taught to parent. I'm going to threaten you with pain, either emotional or physical, if you don't do what I want you to do. And we're believing that this is good parenting. We're believing that this is good teaching. And all day long, we're subjecting our children to emotional trauma because we don't understand they came here with, like you said, potential. They're potent. They have inner genius. All we have to do is unlock it and give them a safe environment where they can express themselves without feeling like there's something wrong with them. That's something we have to learn how to do because it wasn't demonstrated to us. What was demonstrated to us is how you control a child using humiliation. That's all we've known.
And I think we have to also think about, in addition to that, we have to think about how can we create these environments? There's little things that we can all do just to start. I know sometimes thinking about changing your whole lifestyle and the way you function with your children is overwhelming. It's like, well, this is the only way I know. I don't know where to find out new information. You can start with the smallest things. You can start with yourself. You are your first child. That's what I tell everybody. I'm my first child. I have to take care of myself. What feels good to me? It doesn't feel good when someone yells at me. It doesn't. It doesn't feel good when someone hits me. I do not enjoy that. So how do I treat myself well? How do I love on myself? How do I show myself what it is to be a child and remind myself what that is? I'm so grateful for my parents. This is something we can all do. Allow your kids to ask questions. Yes, you might get tired of them. Like, oh my God, if they ask one more question, just take a deep breath. Yes, baby. What's the next question? Allow them to, because when you allow your child to have curiosity, this was my struggle as a science teacher. I had to get 30 plus kids in each class, and I had 5 classes, to ask a question. And somehow, some way, that was the biggest struggle for kids. I had to switch it up. I had to make it about art. I had to make it about things they were interested in their own lives. And then I can introduce science and get them to ask questions that way. But it was a work. Like, I had to hustle to get those questions out of the kids.
Well, you know what that was? Before you got to them, they had already been conditioned. Like, if I say something wrong, I'll be reprimanded. I'll be embarrassed. So I'm not going to.
You can't even ask questions. I've been working out in the world, and I've had a baby asking me questions, and somebody said, "Stop asking her all those questions."
Yes.
Tell the baby to stop asking questions. That baby can ask me all the questions. This is this color. We're going to mix these colors. Absolutely. Ask all the questions because you're curious about the world. You don't know what's going on. You're finding out.
Yes. Yeah. And that's really interesting. I think all of us have had that experience of being shushed when we asked a lot of questions because we were curious. And that happened to us usually before we even got to school. We're like 3-4 years old, and we're asking, well, why is this? Why is that? And finally, you say, shut up. Don't even bother me. Get on my nerves. Be quiet. And so you shut it down. Your curiosity, which is your intelligent mind seeking knowledge, is shut down, and you're made to feel bad because you want to know. And so then in school, the teacher says, well, ask me questions. Because you already know.
Me.
Yes. So yeah, I definitely understand. It's funny because my sister, she teaches a college class. She teaches a class on diversity in the media. And she was so frustrated one year because none of her students would say anything. She's just like, I'm talking, I'm saying, part of your grade is your class participation. But they had been conditioned over the years to, well, if I don't say the right thing, I'm going to be reprimanded. So they wouldn't ask any questions. Getting them to talk was like pulling teeth. And these are like college students. So you figure, how many years of conditioning have they had to just be quiet and let me tell you what to think, and then you memorize it and regurgitate it back to me on a test, and then you get a high grade, and then you'll be successful in life. And that's what we call education.
Invention is the product of curiosity.
Yes, every invention comes from curiosity. Yes,
absolutely.
It's the product of curiosity. Yes.
That's right. If you never ask, well, what if, then we never have any of these inventions. And this is why programs like CEO Superheroes is so empowering. We had a chance to observe them because we were teaching them the ins and outs of podcasting, how you operate the computer, how you plan your conversation with their guest you're going to interview and all that. Of course, shout out to my dear sister Asada, who is just a dynamic woman in terms of inspiring young people. And so, of course, we're going to see the product of what they produced in that program, CEO Superheroes. But they also, I understand, they've learned golf, they've learned robotics. And these are children from like ages 6 to 18, the whole gamut. And they have no fear of asking questions or expressing themselves creatively or artistically because they haven't been shut down.
Absolutely.
And that's the kind of environment we have to create for our children, so that they can feel like people are going to welcome my curiosity. People are going to allow me to create without saying, no, you did it wrong. No, let them do it the way they see it. And it's, oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. Because most of us didn't get that growing up in school. We didn't get encouragement for being different. If you didn't conform, if you didn't do exactly what I said, then I'm going to call you dumb. I'm going to humiliate you. I might even tell your parents I'm going to give you a bad grade, and you might get punished when you get home. Oh, you got an F. I'm going to give you a beating.
So that brings up a good point. This is something that still sticks with me 20 years later. In high school, I was taking notes in class. Trig. I did not like trig. Let's just say that. Yeah. And so in order to keep myself engaged, I drew notes. I drew little doodles, like talking about the lesson. And I'm like, this stuff is so boring to me, but this is the way that I kept myself engaged. And the teacher would check our notes. And when she saw my doodles, she said I had to take it out and rewrite it. Oh. And as an instructor, one of the things that I'm very proud of is I then went on to become a science instructor who then actually collected the research that shows allowing students to doodle and draw when they're taking notes increases the capturing of the knowledge and the content. So to that teacher whose name I shall not say, although I do remember. It works. And that goes back to that question, what happens when we minimize trauma in our learning? And that's what I'm excited about this Saturday.
Yeah, so tell us about this Saturday coming.
Yes, I'm so excited to tell you about that because CEO Superheroes will be there, as you mentioned. We'll be there sharing the information about what is next, which I'll talk about that later. But also, as you mentioned, our podcast students will be interviewing with the Betty Shabazz podcast students, so we get to see that.
Yeah.
And then we'll also be showcasing our photography students and the work that they did. And Dionne, me, I'll be there doing an art party. So as you step out of the book fair over to the next room, you'll get to experience a plethora of art making, including making your own book.
Wow.
And one more thing. And I'll share information about the Healing Academy there as well. But one more thing, I'll be performing.
Ooh. Performance. All right now. Yes.
So look, y'all need to come out not only to see this amazing book fair, but to also see the youth who have poured into all of the things that we do, poured into themselves, and really are learning about themselves and the world through creative outlets. Come on out this Saturday. That's all I got to say.
Gotta be there. Now, for those of you who are in and around the Chicagoland area, or if you want to take a trip, you might be from Indiana or Wisconsin, come on down. It's at 7823 South Ellis. That's Betty Shabazz International Charter School, a fantastic institution that, you know, my daughter graduated from there, and she is now a global citizen. She speaks several languages. She travels all over the world, and she has no fear because she was not crushed. Her spirit was not crushed. It was nurtured in that school. Those and I love the atmosphere because it's like the African village, and everybody's either mama or baba. So that's you feel like family there, and it's different when someone is your child. It's a different relationship, and so that's a very nurturing environment. We had an opportunity to the last 2 semesters do a 12-week training program and giving them an opportunity to interview a lot of different people. And our last project, they talked with some students in China and their teacher, and we're looking forward to making that connection because we believe that when our children are able to meet each other, they'll discover all over the world they're really the same. They don't need to be taught fear. They don't need to be taught prejudice. They don't need to be taught hate. They need to be taught how to share the love, share the joy, and create peace because everybody is important. Everybody has something that they're here to share with the human family and the world. And so we're going to see when children talk to children who, and all of them have had open minds and potential. They're potent. They're growing. And we'll see what kind of conversation they have when they talk about what it feels like to know that you're shaping the future.
Yes.
You know, Naima?
Yes.
We want to encourage our children to think.
Yes.
Know? And that word encourage. A lot of times they have to utilize a lot of courage to even express themselves.
Yes.
We want to remove that and put the I-N courage. Have the courage to wonder, how does this thing work? What causes it to function? You know, we're walking around with computers in our hands, you know, these cell phones and AI and all of that. There's a curiosity. What makes this function like this? And usually the greatest benefits are found inside of the creative matter.
That's true.
Inside of it. That's the science of it. And I'm grateful that this is a scientist.
Yes.
Dionne Victoria.
Yes. A scientist. Yes.
You have been strategically placed to encourage our children.
I like that.
Strategic.
Well, that is it. And you know what I always tell, and that's a good point that you made, because you know sometimes our children will take a piece of equipment or machinery or something, and they'll break it apart, and they're trying to figure out how it works. With us and our lack of understanding.
Why did you do that?
So we want to start smacking them instead of realizing this is a scientific mind.
That's what they're doing. They want to know how it works.
Yes.
So something that a lot of people I say is art and science are actually quite like almost the same. To me, they're the same. They have a very similar process that I would talk about at another time. But something else that we've talked about that I don't want anyone to leave here without hearing us. We cannot use fear as a tactic. We can't inspire fear in our babies.
Yes.
And we have to teach them when they do face fear that we do have to encourage, put that courage in them, help them understand, tell the story. Remember the people behind you. We're behind you. We got our hand on your back, and you might be scared of this thing. Some people, so when I went to teach English in Korea, not knowing any English, I used art to teach English in Korea. I was terrified. I was at the airport shaking. I was about to go live somewhere I had never been without knowing Korean. So when you were like, "안녕하세요," I'm like, "Hey."
Yeah. Well, you know, my daughter taught English in Korea for 5 years. I got to introduce you to her.
Yes.
So much in common. Yeah.
Overcome some serious fear to get on that plane and know that it's going to take at least a day to get back home. In case of any emergency, it's going to take at least a day to get to people. So there's some fear in your mind, knowing how far you are. But we have to encourage our babies that it's okay. If you encounter fear, be encouraged.
Yeah.
You got this. It's okay and how do you do that? You give them opportunities where they don't know stuff over and over again. You keep placing them in places and opportunities where they don't know stuff. So now, I don't know that. Let me figure it out. Overcoming this fear.
Yes.
Let me step out of my comfort zone over and over again. And now when I'm an adult, fear, that pops up every now and then, but I just do this, that, and the third and get past it.
That's right. That's right. And I'm so glad you said that, because sometimes, well, basically the way we've been conditioned to think is that you're supposed to make your child fear you. Fear you're going to hit them, fear you're going to reprimand them, fear you're going to cause them pain. And we're believing wrongly that fear is respect. Fear is not respect. Fear is distrust. Mm-hmm. If I fear you, that means I can't trust you to not cause me harm. But we've been incorrectly conditioned to believe that we're supposed to instill fear in our children. And so this is the way parents parent. And they're believing that if a child speaks up, because if they've been in an environment where they've been allowed to speak and share their thoughts, and an adult who doesn't understand will get offended. Like, how dare you say something? How dare you speak to me like that? How dare you say that? Because maybe that child hasn't been in condition to fear other people or fear being able to express their thoughts. So we got a lot of undoing in our own minds about what love looks like. Love is not fear. Love is trust. When like you said, I got your back. So if a person knows that they can trust you, no matter what they're going through, they can trust you to encourage them, then they don't live in fear, and they shouldn't be living in fear. Mm-hmm. So how would you, and I know you got to take your child to school, don't you? Before you go, first of all, tell us if people want to get their children involved in the CEO Superheroes program, how do they reach you out? What's their website?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So if you want, this is my suggestion for folks. If you want to find yourself involved with CEO Superheroes, they have an amazing family plan where you can purchase a membership at ceosuperheroes.com. Let me make sure I'm saying, is it com? Nope. Let me correct myself. Org. It is .org. Make sure you go to ceosuperheroes.org to find out more about our family plan and how you can get a $111 family plan that covers you getting classes for your whole family, being a part of workshops for the whole family for the whole year. So it's quite a deal, because just on May 4th alone, we're offering 3 different programs with podcast, beats production, and game design. So if you want to get involved, please make sure that you visit ceosuperheroes.org. I also want to talk about a few things that we got going on. Also follow CEO Superheroes at CEO Superheroes, just like the .org is at CEO Superheroes on our social media platforms. We also have a homeschool network that July 8th registration opens up for. If you go to that website, you can pay attention there, set it in your calendar that when you come to July 8th, you go ahead and sign up for that. Currently, with the Healing Academy, we have our Science Tuesdays with Mama Dionne and Mason. That's my little guy. And that is every Tuesday at 11. It's at my home. So you follow us at We Heal Heal and contact me, and you can get that information to come on over. And we do some homeschooling, specifically science, because that's my passion.
Now that's We Heal Heal. So is that wehealheal.org, or that is the
wehealheal.org and at We Heal Heal on all social media. So we both CEO Superheroes and the Healing Academy. We did a good job of trying to keep it consistent. Find us at ceosuperheroes.org or the Healing Academy at wehealheal.org.
Okay. All right. So that's wehealheal.org. If you want to go that so you can heal. That is fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Dionne. You have just inspired us today, and we're looking forward to this.
May God continue to bless you, Dionne.
Yes, may God continue to bless you so you can be a blessing to others. We look forward to seeing you all this Saturday at the Soulful Chicago Book Spring Fling. We're going to see those CEO superheroes, those articulate young people who are now doing their own radio, TV show, podcast. And they're CEO superheroes, and we're excited. And so 7823 South Ellis, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. this Saturday. You need to be there. All right. Come on down from St. Louis, brother. Well, all right.
I wish I could.
Well, we thank you all so very much. We do appreciate you. We're going to take another quick break and come back. And we've got folks on the line. And of course, we always encourage you. Press 1 if you're on our Blog Talk switchboard. And of course, if you call in on our on-air radio network, just state your name. We'll bring you on. And we'll be right back after this quick break. So stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be right back. So stay with us.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif. And if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, childcare services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
Radio. Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
Yes. This is the Female Solution, and I'm Naima Latif. And if you're watching today, we want you to watch every day, because every day of the week, we've got a fantastic team of hosts bringing you inspirational information that can transform your life. And if you are listening online and want to join this conversation, you can call in. We're on 3 radio networks today. Of course, we're on our American Muslim 360 channel, 515-605-9891. And we're on our Female Solution Blog Talk channel, 515-605-9325. And you can join us on the on-air radio network at 727-731-5192, because we want to hear from you. And I'm always excited when I meet people who have the courage to create something that answers a problem, that solves a problem. That's why we call this the female solution, because we bring you people who have solutions to the difficulties that we're facing. One of the things I want to take a look at is the creation of alternative educational programs. How long have we been complaining about the public school system, their refusal to teach history in a way that's accurate and empowering, and that is giving the honor and respect of all people for their various human experience? How long have we been complaining about that we've been denigrated? How long have we been upset about teachers who do all the things we just talked about, discouraging our children, making them feel bad, humiliating them, being harsh and punitive when they express a thought that's out of conformity? How long have we been complaining about this? At this point in time, there is no reason, there's absolutely no reason for us to keep complaining about a school system that doesn't serve us when we have the intelligence to create something better. So Brother Kareem, what do you think it is that, and of course, this is something that we have to really look at, is what is it that keeps us from creating what we need? I'll be right back after this brief message on the AM 360 line. But we want you to think about that. We want you to think about that. Because, you know, all over the country, people are creating independent institutions. And it's not always easy. But now, with the advent of all kinds of ways of learning, whether it's an online school or whatever the case may be, it isn't as though you've got to have a whole lot of financial resources to start. And the most important thing is to start. There are homeschool programs, and of course, our guests talked about the school that they're launching. And we want those who might be inspired to create a school system to go ahead and do it. If you're still complaining about what's being done in your child's school, I mean, you can do several things. You can run for the local school board. I was looking at a press conference a few days ago. Our brother Shay Rhymefrest, who's known as a spoken word artist, is running for a local school board position. So you can get involved that way, and you can shape what's being taught in the schools and the environment of the school, or you can create your own school. But we have to stop complaining about how things are and how other people aren't treating us right. Because doing that is a sign of a belief in one's helplessness. It's like, I can't do this, but I'm going to keep complaining because you're not doing it right. Well, why am I giving my power to you if you're abusing me? Why am I doing that? So, Kareem, we certainly do want to hear from people who have a thought about this. What keeps us from starting our own schools? And there might be some people who've gone to some private schools, private religious institutions. Sometimes religious communities will create a school that reinforces their values that they know aren't going to be reinforced in a public school system. But there are some challenges. But what do you think keeps people from just starting an institution when they see that there's a need to do it? Do you think it's fear that they don't have whatever credentials they think need to be had? Or what is it that is the hesitating factor that keeps us from creating what we know needs to exist that doesn't currently serve our needs?
Excellent question, Naima. In some cases, it is fear or either complacency. Also there's an economic component to education. You have to be able to afford the instructors that are proficient in the field that you're introducing. But so I would first say that the first thing is to overcome the fear. Have the courage to take that responsibility on. We are responsible as parents for the education of our children. And we have surrendered that responsibility to people we don't even know, to people we don't even know. How many parents really sit down with an instructor?
Yes.
And have a general conversation, get to know that person. What are their values and what is their motivation? If you're just there to get a paycheck, then that cancels you out, But the idea of, public education, we use that word. But public education means that the public have a right and a responsibility to educate their children.
Yes.
Homeschooling. At one time, that was an alternative. Mm-hmm. And I'm quite sure that right now there are parents and others that are utilizing homeschooling, online education.
Yes.
But we must overcome the fear and don't settle into complacency of well, this is just how it is.
That's the thing.
School, complacency, I believe.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you hear so often when people allow something to continue that is really harmful. Oh, well, that's just how it is. They're not going to let us do anything about it. Who is this they that we have given all this power to? There's nobody on this earth that's more powerful than anybody else. But we have this thought that we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned through fear to believe that it's futile to try to change things. And when you accept that incorrect thought, then, like you say, you become complacent. You don't strive to change things because you're believing it's impossible. And I forgot what famous person was that said, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're absolutely right. So if you think you can create something, if you think you can change something, if you think you can do something, then you're going to do the thing that makes it possible for you to do it, and you're going to do it. But if you think you can't, then you won't even try. And so you're absolutely right. You can't. But I think if we can undo the fear factor, or, when people start thinking, well, I want to do this, but I don't have enough money. So that becomes the obstacle that you put in your own way before you even start. Well, what if you had all the money you need? What would you do then? Because you got to unlock your mind. You have to unlock the belief that you can't do something, which keeps you from even making a plan on how to do it so that it can actually be done. Just think, if you had unlimited vision of creating something. And you didn't first think, well, I can't do that because I don't have money. I can't do that because I don't have a degree. I can't do that because I don't have the right skills. I can't do that because I don't know anybody. I can't do that. I mean, if you start thinking can't, then you won't even think, well, what if I were going to do it? What would the first thing be that I would do? What would the curriculum look like that I would want to teach? I mean, we can't even start planning something because we've already put in our mind that it's impossible to do because we're thinking of all things we think we need to have in order to make it happen. And you really don't have to have anything but an idea. Well, did you ever go to a private? Yes. So and your educational experience, did you ever go to a private school or, you know, a non-traditional school that wasn't public school?
I would call it private, but there was a tuition that was placed on the educational system. The first school I went to was a Catholic school, and the teachers were nuns. And let me say that they did an excellent job, because when I was eventually transferred to the public school system, I think I was in about the 3rd grade, and I'm writing in cursive. And the instructor, she told me, don't write.
We haven't taught you that yet.
You know, yes. So I went home and I told my mother. And the next day she went to school with me. And she informed the instructor, do not hold my son back. No, you pull these students forward to where he is, you know. So Catholic school is a private school.
Yeah.
You know, it is. But they sometimes they do an excellent educating of children. My first school I went to, I would say, was a private school. Yes, it was.
Well, you know,
sometimes we think, well, go ahead, my sister, please.
Well, I was going to say, you know, with that experience of being advanced beyond where the next school you went to had taken their students, a lot of people find that happening. Like if they teach their child how to read at home. So you've got this 4-year-old that's already, you know, they know all the letters, reading, writing, they know words, they're reading. And then they go to kindergarten, and the other students are just now learning the alphabet. Sometimes that child will be made to feel like they're doing something wrong, or, you know, they're upsetting things, because what are you doing coming here knowing how to read? I haven't taught you that yet. And I know a number of people who had that experience. Maybe they had parents who were teachers, or just took time and taught them how to read before they went to school. And so when they came to school already knowing these things, the teacher didn't know how to handle it and made it to be a negative thing. And they just recently have understood that if a child comes with advanced knowledge, then there are a lot of things you can do. You can give them work that meets where they are, while other children are doing the elementary things that they've already learned. But you don't hold them back or penalize them because they're already writing in cursive and everybody else just learning how to form the letters, or they're already reading, everybody else just learning the alphabet. You know, you don't hold them back. But I found that people who've been homeschooled, usually they are so far advanced than their grade level, because they're getting one-on-one attention, and they're not being restricted. Okay, well, in 1st grade you learn this, and in 2nd grade you learn this, and 3rd grade you learn this. People often, when they do a homeschool curriculum, they'll let the child keep learning and learning and learning with no limitations. So we find that most public schools actually dumb our children down and teach them things that don't really have anything to do with life, you know. And that's something that, like you say, the complacency, they never think to challenge it.
It has removed the art of cursive writing. They were dumbing down the population.
We talked about that the other day. And this is something we're going to have to figure out, because if you're still expected to sign your name on official documents like your driver's license or your passport or a contract or endorse a check, then it's expected for you to learn cursive writing because that's your unique signature. But like you say, they're not teaching it anymore. And the way they're trying to evolve things when it comes to identifying people, well, you know, what if you just put your thumbprint? Okay, that's unique. Yeah, that's fine. And we might get to that point at some point where maybe that's how documents are signed, but we're not there yet. So in between time, if you're still expected to know how to sign your name and you can neither read nor write cursive, what are you supposed to do? And this is where we find ourselves. We're in between whatever new system they're expecting to replace cursive writing and actually having that system in place. So right now, you still got to, if you're going to get a driver's license, you got to be able to sign the driver's license. You got to be able to sign if somebody pays you in a paycheck. Yeah, okay, many people using electronic banking, but for those people who still write checks, you got to sign the back of the check if you want to cash it, you know, and all these things. So that's a question. What do we do with the old system that still exists if we're not teaching it and our children are expected to still function in it before this new system of whatever is going to be manifests? Should parents teach their children cursive writing at home because it's not being taught in school? What do you think?
I think they should, because on most documents there are two areas. They ask for a signature.
Yes.
A signature. And if you print, then that invalidates that application, that document. They want your signature. You
That's
know,
right.
And then somewhere right next to that is whereby you can actually print your name. But when they are asking for a signature,
they want cursive signature. They want it in cursive writing. Yeah.
We have a caller here on the line.
Yes. Well, let's open up the mics for our caller. And of course, if you're on our switchboard here, feel free to press 1. We'll let you know. We'll open the mic for those that are on our switchboard. But go ahead and open the mic for the call.
Okay, area code 706-627. Please state your name and where you're calling from, please.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Muhammad from the Ummah of Prophet Muhammad out of Waycombe, Georgia. And I think a lot of people back from Ramadan. But just to ask the most important question that came out of the wonderful guest you had and what we're talking about right now. It's the lack of faith by any who means not doing what they know is right. And the lack of faith comes from is a safety net that the Lord gives us, because He reminds us when we're going back into what He just freed us from. And you will have no excuse for not having your own school, your own food, your own society of people who want to be loving each other and share with each other. You're not establishing definitive ways to how to protect your freedom to live the way that you want to live in the environment that you're in. When Allah has put you in charge of making sure that you are a model for anyone who wants to live the best of life that Allah has created for you in His creation, that opportunity door must be kept open. So that is the number one thing. And then the mother is so important, like you said, because we were talking about teaching in the first place. When how early we start with what we just came out of. Our children have had the best in life, from childbirth or to the one that is suckling, who just came into the world during the month of Ramadan, and to all of us have purified ourselves to the highest level of sincerity that's in our hearts. and has asked Allah to let us drop out wherever we want to drop out and start from where we want to start at. But those of us who we feel Allah has given us a taste of the night of power before the ending of this purification process called Ramadan, so that we can teach the whole world and create a new system. The whole world is waiting on the people who have just came out of the greatest fast and obligation Allah has put on the human family, just our creation in Adam, to try to live it until it is created a perimeter of refuge for those who believe. And he has given us all of the intelligence, all of the resources to do it. But he said, remember now, you will go back. Because Shaitan is calling you, and he is now free again. And remember, our children just has one of the most wonderful realities you'll ever have, and that is fasting during the month of Ramadan. And many people of other faiths have fasted with us, and they have benefited from the purity that they see coming out of the people who the Creator chooses. He can choose whoever he wants to bring forth this vital community. And the rest of the world will support it once they see the sincerity and effort that is going to be put into doing it by deeds and acts. So if we start now not to let our children forget about what they have experienced during Ramadan, they will be a model for all the children of the world, and especially for themselves. And they will help us as teachers, as parents, the first teachers, and the man, the first teacher. Because he taught Eve what Allah instructed him to teach her, of where they was, how she came about, and we are supposed to repeat that process over and over again with the books that Allah has sent to the world. It's like now the world is waiting on us to free them from the temptation of the thought of fasting. Fasting is one of them. Purification, how to realize that you do not need the world or anything in it that is a gift, your worship. But don't do anything like this. Go about your business of establishing that opportunity for yourself and those who want to recognize that they cannot create themselves except. So we have to pray a lot that we don't let this Ramadan education that the world has been having for the last 1,447 years, well, about 1,200 years, something like that. But anyway, it's very important that we teach our children everything they learned during the month of Ramadan, because those who fasted before us, they can already have an idea of what we're going through. Because the law put the same responsibility on them in the reality that they're in now and the actual physical reality they were in at the time when they received the revelation. We must have faith. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. What you are saying is very important. The parents and teachers have to have a discipline, have moral values and a discipline as they instruct and construct our children. Almighty God has said to the human being, your own self obligates you. There is an obligation to educate our children in the proper manner. We can't use the excuse, well, you know, my child went to such and such a school and it was subpar. No. That still does not release us from your own self obligates you. So we have to create, and I'm with you, create the proper environment in which we nurture our children. Create the proper environment. You know, not an environment of fear or you are less than, but an environment of encouragement and put them in contact with the excellent potential. Look, you can do whatever you can be whatever you desire to be. Don't think you can. You can be that. See, that encouragement.
Right. I agree.
I agree with you.
In closing, let me say this. And buddy, ma'am, that's why it's so important that you remember that you are imam. You know, and you have a duty to whoever you talk to, like you all have. You're very diplomatic, you're very merciful, you're very kind, but we must always end like we end our good father. We have to give all the praise to Allah. And then like Prophet Muhammad led in his example, he talked to many people. He counted many people of all faiths, but he reminded them, I fully understand what you're going through, but remember, I follow and worship our Creator. So if you really want to be successful, do what He say do. Just want to say that. Thanks.
We thank you for your call. We're going to take our last break. We're going to take our last break and come back. And if you got some more calls on the switchboard, we will open their mics. And you're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif with all of our co-hosts, Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family. And of course, if you missed the first part of the show with Dionne Victoria, you need to go back and watch it in the archives, because we're talking about empowering our young people with knowledge, skills, and encouragement so that they can manifest their visions and dreams. We'll be right back after this quick break, so stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be right back in just one moment, and we want you to stay with us.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms.
I'm Beata, your holistic life coach. These days, it's more important than ever to work on your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Are you consciously breathing deeply in stressful moments? Do you have a plan or daily routine to maintain balance in your awesome body? Are you struggling to be disciplined in your eating habits? When you partner with me, I'll help you develop a personalized health plan that works for your particular lifestyle. You can find out more about me at yourholisticlifecoach.com, where you can also review my 3-step protocol to guide you to abundant health. That's yourholisticlifecoach.com, and I'm Beata. Do you want to live in a world without war? Join our global peace movement. Heavenly Culture World Peace Restoration of Light transcends culture, religion, ideology, and other boundaries to achieve peaceful harmony in the global society. HWPL is committed to bringing world peace and cessation of war through peaceful dialogue between religious groups. I am Director Shin-Suk Kim of the HWPL Chicago branch of North America. Join us for our next gathering. Call 773-580-1501 and be a part of the movement for world peace. Email us at chicagohwpl@gmail.com. Hi, I'm Naima Latif. Join me and my co-host Kareem Hamid every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the Female Solution Radio Show, as we explore that relationship that is the foundation for our society, the relationship between men and women, husbands and wives. Join our discussion as we seek to repair broken family ties and rebuild our community. Listen online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to our host. Or you can join us live on Facebook at www.facebook.com/the-female-solution.
And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, along with our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family. And of course, we've got some comments here. Our wonderful Friday morning, Sunday evening host, Beata, says, Grand Rising Queens. Love the idea of minimizing trauma in our learning. You go, girl. Yes, definitely. You know, one thing that our guest Dionne said about minimizing trauma. We should pay attention to our children when they come home from school and they're upset. Because if they are not having a good experience, we need to address that. Sometimes things are happening and we overlook it. Our children come home crying, they're upset, and we think it's just some little thing. But like when you're 5, 6 years old and a teacher hollered at you or something, that can be traumatizing. You know, I mean, it's something happened when you wet your pants. You know, that's public humiliation. That's traumatizing. Yeah, you're 4, 5, 6 years old, but those are memories that stay with you. So how we handle things for our children is important. It's important that we show that we care how their day went at school. And if there was something that happened that might have been traumatizing, we need to address it. Usually, and I believe Kwanzaa Kunjufu, the book he wrote, Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys, when studies showed that by 3rd grade, young Black boys had lost a desire to go to school. They were already failing. And the question was, what's happening between, preschool or kindergarten, whenever they started, and 3rd grade that was turning them off of school? And it's those little traumas, those little verbal reprimands, that constant reinforcement. You're bad, you're stupid, you're hard-headed, you can't learn. All those little negative things that are being said to them in those early years. And if we don't address it, then they're going to just wash their hands of school. And it's not because they're not intelligent. It's because of the trauma that we are inflicting on them because of the way we think and how we've been misinformed and misdirected in our teaching and parenting styles often to repress a child. Boy energy is different than girl energy. And yes, they are very active. And that's not being bad. That's being who they are. So we have to, especially, females, if you're teachers, you got to understand boy energy is different than girl energy. They're not being bad because they're active. We need to have different ways that we learn. Sometimes you need to take them out that classroom, take them to the park, study the flowers and the trees and the birds and the bees. Do not try to confine a child's energy because they need to express it. And we need to learn how to guide it so that it's not something we're angry at them about. They are boys. Boys are different than girls. And that's not being sexist. We as females, if we're going to be teaching in that classroom, we need to understand that. So what do you think about that, Brother Kareem? Do you remember or the feeling of being repressed as a boy child because maybe you had more of a desire to be active, to run and play and wrestle and all those things, and being squashed for having natural boy energy. Do you remember that growing up?
There's a flip side to that. I was very studious as a young boy. But my father had been raised in another environment. And he was for education, but he put a lot of emphasis on physical activity. Toughen him up. You need to be tougher. The conspiracy to eliminate black boys is not always that we'll put them in jail. We'll deny them economic opportunity. No, the real disqualification, they want to make us, to disqualify us from being male. And that comes with a thought process.
Yes.
Give them a way of thinking that disqualifies them from being the leaders in the community and the society that they live. Give them a mindset of playfulness. Give them a mindset of toxic masculinity. That lone wolf type of thinking, that individualism type of, that disqualifies us as males from having the proper thought process to actually participate in the role of male. Let's affect their thinking, and that will be the disqualifier. We will eliminate them. They will not be productive. They will not honor their female half. That type of thinking disqualifies the young boy. That's how you eliminate the young boy. Control their thought processes. Give them thinking that disqualifies them from being competition for us.
And this is why,
take them out of the way.
This is exactly why we have to create our own institutions of learning, because if people are intentionally either dumbing you down or, like you say, creating an environment where you're not taking learning seriously and you're not encouraged to be studious, then that really is the intention to keep you from being able to be on equal par or even surpassing those who fear you as a possibility of making them feel inferior because you're better at something. And Zelda says, oh, thank you. Zelda says, Grand Rising, beautiful lady. Thank you so much. She says, thank you for sharing on this wonderful day. And she says, this is exactly why I love learning from the children at BSC ICS, which is Betty Shabazz International Charter School. Said, I have a whole new understanding that is unlike what I experienced as a child. Thank us, the United Spirits. Thank us for this time on this planet. Absolutely. And, this is an interesting thing. There's a dynamic between males that females might not always understand. And I had, when I was teaching at Betty Shabazz years ago, I had a fourth grader explain this to me. Now, these were intelligent young men. They were in there. I was teaching reading, and they were in my reading class. But they would always engage in horseplay before class. They throwing each other around and tumbling all over this desk and everything. I'm getting agitated. And one day I said to them, why do you all always have to fight before class? And my student said to me, because they call you Mama and Baba, they said, Mama Naima, that's how boys show affection. And it's like a light bulb went off in my head. I'm like, oh. See, girl, I didn't know that. I'm like, oh, I understand now. So I totally I totally changed my attitude about that. I understood that they needed to do that little roughhousing thing when they greet each other. That's just how boys are. I didn't take it like, oh, you're disrupting the class. Oh, you're fighting. I suspend you. I didn't, none of that. I was like, okay, let me get that out of the system. Okay, now let's settle down and do this work. But I totally understood after that. And I think a lot of young boys get penalized for being boys. And on the flip side, like you just mentioned, now you might have somebody that's really studious and in the books and everything, and teachers kind of create the bullying atmosphere. They might really highly praise this student who's, you know, in his books, not as boisterous, you know, not as active, but really into studying. So the teachers will give all him this high praise and then reprimand the others like, oh, you bad. Can't you be more like little Joey who just sits down and does his work? So then they create jealousy in the other boys that are being reprimanded. And so with that jealousy, they start picking on the little studious child because the teachers have singled him out as, this is the example of what you should follow. You're bad. You're disruptive. I'm going to punish you. That's what creates the bullying. That's what creates the being picked on for being smart, instead of a teacher understanding that there's different energies, there's different expressions of creativity, there's different ways that boys might express themselves, and neither one is wrong. So it's our needing to understand that could help create an environment where, like Dionne said, we lessen the trauma instead of us reprimanding those who might be more active or singling out the one that's behaving nice and quiet the way we want, because that's the only way we understand, you know, good behavior. Instead of us doing that as adults, we need to understand that children have different energies and different ways that they learn. And sitting down, being quiet isn't for everybody. That isn't how everybody learns. We need to have alternatives where they can express themselves physically sometimes. You know, go out to the playground and learn about nature. Be out where you can express yourself physically and not being made to feel like you're being bad because you're not sitting down and keeping still and listening to a 2-hour lecture. We need to think, you know, we need to understand, and we need to know that the way things were done before didn't work then. It just made us feel full of fear, and we were quiet because we were afraid of getting smacked or you know, sent to the principal's office or whatever punishment it was. But it wasn't a good learning environment. So Brother Kareem, what do you think is if the person was going to create a school curriculum that encompassed all of those things, the quiet child, the active child, the child who's artistic, the child who reads, the child who maybe likes music, the child who likes to run and play, all different personalities, and all of them be considered okay because each of them is that child's individual expression and their own unique individuality. How could we create an environment where all children are welcomed and not made to feel fearful that they're going to be made to feel like they're wrong or bad? What do you think?
You know, diversity in human beings is a plus. We are not robots, you know. We have different proclivities, you know. There isn't a cookie cutter by way of skills. There's a cookie cutter by way of our soul. We all have the same soul, but we have different strengths, different weaknesses. It's a variety of being that makes life exciting. You know, you mentioned how males will tease a young girl. I was on the phone with a friend of mine, Sister Maria, and she was telling me about this young boy that went to school with her, and that every day he would tell her, "I'm going to get you." And she said every time the school was let out, he would chase her home. She would leave the school building, look behind her, and here he comes.
Wow.
Oh, and she'd break out running and get home. I told her, I said, Sister Maria, now come to find out, this little boy was my brother. She didn't know that.
Oh.
Come to find out, she was raised in the same close-knit neighborhood. And she expressed his name to me. I said, that was my little brother.
Oh, no.
I said, Maria, that's how a young boy showing interest in young girls.
Yeah.
They might
teasing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By teach them like me. They are getting their attention.
Yeah. Get attention.
Yeah, that's their way of flowing.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what that is.
So, yeah. And she asked me, how is he? And all of that. He has since passed, but she really would have liked to have, spoken with him.
Yeah.
Before his passing. Yeah. That's just how some males express.
Yeah. And, if we understood these things, and that's an interesting thing because, I can think of, certain people when I was growing up and they, being teased, chased home or, tagging you all the time, little things like that. And you're upset, like, why are they always picking on me? But then later in life, you realize, oh, this was somebody who, kind of had a crush on me or whatever. But you don't know these things because, you don't know the language of children. But if adults can understand it, as a matter of fact, I think I might have told this story before, forgive me if I have. But I was, again, teaching 4th grade. And one of the little girls, she hit this little boy, and he was mad. Yeah, she hit me. So I was a teaching assistant. I was told to take her to the office, go to the principal's office and, whatever, get written up for detention or whatever. And as we're walking down the hall, she said, the reason why I hit him is because I like him. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh, that's funny. And so I was trying to explain to her, I said, well, you may want to do something different rather than hit him because he doesn't know that. And he thinks you were trying to hurt him. And that might have hurt his feelings. So, maybe you can think of something nice to do for him instead of that. I'm trying to explain this to her, but I understood, and so if you understand how children think, then our first response isn't always punishment. See them as a whole human being. They have a logical way that they see life and they do things based on child logic. So we can understand why they did something. And my first advice to a parent or a teacher, if a child does something that you don't like, and maybe it's disruptive, maybe it's destructive, whatever it is, first ask them, why did you do that? And then don't ask with a hand raise, why'd you do that? Getting ready to smack them no matter what they say. That's not going to get you a truthful answer. But just ask them out of curiosity, well, what made you do that? And listen to them and allow them to explain it according to their child logic. And then you can calmly explain, oh, I see. Well, the next time maybe you should do it this way because that caused someone to be hurt or whatever the problem was. But if we can learn how to respond without punitive action, our children can trust us more. And then the learning environment isn't so traumatizing where every time they do something, there's some kind of punishment attached to it. Because every time they do something we don't like, we think, oh, you're being bad, and then we want to hit them or in other cases. And I keep hearing parents say, they need to bring spanking back to the schools. I'm thinking, okay, you're abusing your child at home and you want the teacher to have the power to abuse them as well. Why do you think that's good? So I don't know, Brother Kareem, have you ever been to a school where, corporal punishment was allowed, and do you think it was maybe...
Oh, yes.
was there anything about that you think was helpful?
I told you about. Yeah, they would take a ruler.
Yeah.
And hit your hand.
Yeah.
When I was transferred to the public school, the instructors had what was called a rat hand.
Ooh.
It was a very flexible, long stick.
Wow.
They would take you to the coat room, or either, and you didn't want to get sent to the principal's office. Oh, boy. Because he had a big paddle with holes in it.
Wow.
There was
slave beatings.
So
yeah.
That is traumatic. You know,
it is.
Sometimes we ask children, why did you do that?
As we're hitting them.
I don't know. I don't know. They aren't lying. Well, how come you did that? I don't know. They don't know.
They don't know. It was an impulse.
To a trauma. Yes,
yeah.
A trauma of something that have affected their behavior.
That's right.
They don't understand.
They don't even know. They don't even know.
The instructor have to have enough insight to know that there is a beginning and a cause to every action. You know, and you try to dispel that trauma. You try to remove that caused them to behave in such a way. When they say, I don't know, they mean, I don't know. The instructor has to have insight and knowledge.
That's right.
That's to know that there's a cause that pain. And seek the cause and try to eradicate the trauma of being a child.
That's
being
right.
a child. They're very precious to us.
Right.
So we have to be psychologists. We have to be psychiatrists. We have to be therapists, along with an educator. It requires that we have an insight into human behavior and what causes trauma in our children.
Yeah.
And try to create the proper environment, the nurturing environment that will move them forward. So many of our children come from traumatic living situations. Traumatic living situations. I remember when teachers used to visit the home.
Yes.
That they may be having a problem with.
They did.
And sit and talk with
the parents.
They
yes.
Do that. They had that first time.
Yes.
But now it's just about, I got mine, you get yours.
Yeah.
My paycheck, it'll be the same whether you learn or not.
Yeah, that's the attitude.
But learning goes beyond just
the paycheck. That's true.
It goes beyond that.
It does. Well, I'm hoping that people will be inspired to try to create. If your school is inadequate, think of ways, and of course you can start small. Maybe just start with your own homeschool, but find ways of creating a different learning experience for your children, and look into the opportunities to be a part of a homeschooling system. And you can always get in touch with the CEO superheroes.org. Let me pull it up on the screen here. And go to the website. They've got a homeschooling program launching this summer. And it might be just what you're looking for. I think we do ourselves a disservice by not exploring other opportunities, believing that there's only one way to do something, when in fact, the objective of learning is to expand the mind and help the person develop into the whole person that they are. And so a school that is created with a different mindset might be just what you need. If you've got young children that are in school or perhaps going to be starting school, go to ceosuperheroes.org and explore all the possibilities. Maybe even involve them in some programs, because they've got some excellent after school and on weekend programs that can really be enriching. And you might even decide to start something yourself. So thank you so much, Brother Kareem, and to the American Muslim 360 family. We thank you so very much. And we look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. Join us for Shop with Zoe. And of course, join us Saturday when we move around with Deborah. We'll be right there at the Betty Shabazz International Charter School for the Soulful Chicago Book Fair Spring Fling. Join us with our students and the CEO superheroes. I'm Naima Latif, along with our co-host Kareem Hamid. We'll see you next time on the Female Solution.
We've come to the end of our show today, but you can hear every show in the archives at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. You can also hear today's show on the Female Solution Facebook page. Go to www.facebook.com/the-female-solution. Leave your comments about today's show. You can always reach me on my website at www.naimalatif.com. That's www.naimalatif.com. Watch our TV shows, listen to our radio shows, order our books, and be sure to get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussion. And to our global family listening from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, Sheshe, India, Zanyaba, Japan, Arigato, Korea, Kamsahamnida, Russia, Spasiba, Germany, Danke, Poland, Jean, France, Merci, Spain, Gracias, Italy, Grazie, Egypt, Shukran, Ghana, Medasi, Nigeria, Eshe, South Africa, Gabonga, Senegal, Geret, Kenya, Asante, Israel, Toda, Pakistan, Shukriya. Thank you for using Afghanistan Radio. Goodbye. Tashakkur, Saudi Arabia, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you. And may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessing.